You expect to be, they expect you to be late. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably true. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Gary. Good morning, Betty. Good morning, everybody who's likely to be here, and also Rick as well. And Paul Lemire, anybody else who wants to join. All right. Good
Paul's
morning.
there too. Okay.
Don't see him yet. I'm just
Well,
saying.
look, I gotta go for lunch with Gary. As soon as my arthritic feet fix themselves up, I can't walk very well. So as soon as that sorts itself out, I'm gonna go for some grub with Gary somewhere, wherever he is. We'll have to
Okay.
catch a rainbow trout, cook it up on the river's edge.
Oh, and there's one person I forgot to say good morning to, Karen Fraser. And
Hello, Karen. Welcome back.
I'm saying morning to Karen. I'll also say good morning to Nancy, just in case she's tuning in from Cleveland. There you go. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
we have an exclusive clientele of listeners. They must be much more intelligent than the average person out there. I can tell you that because they're listening to us.
Right. Okay. So Environment Canada is basically saying that there's 10 to 20 millimeters of rainfall possible, with 2 to 5 millimeters as ice accretion in some areas. And they're basically saying be very careful. Although when I look out this morning, it doesn't look as if there's any freezing rain falling.
I heard a little bit, then it went away. I heard a little bit, sounded like rain. I said, "Well, here it is," but it didn't stay. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And as I say, I'm just observing what's out the window right now. There is none. I'm not saying that's where we're going to be, right?
Yeah. So anyway, main thing is be careful out there, everyone. And snow tires aren't going to help you. Don't rely on your snow tires. If you get snow tires, that's great for snow. You know you're going to be get better traction. But if you're getting freezing rain, this is not snow tires are not going to be much more of an advantage.
You can end up with sheet ice in minutes on this sort of thing.
Yes.
Right. So just be very careful.
Snow tires are a better choice for the wintertime, but in times where there's ice, nothing's gonna help you stop.
Yeah.
So careful is the way, particularly coming up to corners. When I was teaching my oldest son how to drive, or helping him, taking him out for drives and that, one of the first things we did was took our car and we went to a corner, and I told him, stop here, whatever. He put on his brakes and, of course, slid right through the corner because it was ice, right? And so I says, well, there you go. You got a good lesson right away. We're lucky there was nobody coming.
Well, the first lesson I learned with snow and ice is that brake with your wheels straight. Because if they lock up, they're going to be pointing in the direction you're going. When you try to turn a corner, which is I tried to turn to right-hand side when it was snowing, because I'm just sliding through the thing with my wheels at an angle.
You could pump your brakes if you want to get some steering going. If you're going through and you want to try to get some steering, you're not going to do it if you got your brakes locked up, even if they're turned. So what you want to do is to pump your brakes so that the wheels actually rotate once in a while, and hopefully it will direct you where you want to go. Exactly. But if your tires are locked up, you're just going to go whatever the direction of the car is going.
Well, in fact, actually, all you're doing is you're braking in a straight line, but your tires are just pointed in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
And it's not until you come to a stop that actually it will start to kick in that direction. So you don't want it kicking in that direction.
So the lesson for today is really be careful out there. Remember, there's lots of kids too. Kids, old people like me. If you hit me, I'm going to sue you.
Go on. I dare you. Hit him. 80 points there. 80 points there, right?
Yeah, somebody's gonna borrow their boss's car and then run me over, and then I'll be the license plate, and I'll be suing their boss.
Yeah, actually, be careful, everybody. just be very careful. Okay.
Yeah, and
So,
be very careful on crossing the roads too, because believe me, everybody's in a hurry in the morning.
yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
I almost got hit one time when I'm crossing the road with the little white man on the thing, and I'm crossing away, and somebody thinks they're going to be able to make the corner going the other way, and they flew around the corner, and happily there was traction that day, so we were able to stop before they hit me. I mean, they
Yeah.
apologized, and all I said is, "Look, pal, what's your hurry, man? You know,
Yeah.
I mean, how can you miss me? I'm really large and really handsome. So if you know,
Go for it, guys. Go for it.
I'm setting myself up here. I got to wait for the comments to come back now.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So Carney is constructing a mega anti-Trump trade alliance because he's got 12-nation Indo-Pacific bloc, and the European Union are in talks with Carney and the Canadian government right now about proposals to form one of the largest global economic alliances. Both of those blocs, the European Union and this Indo-Pacific bloc, are actually into free trade.
I don't know what Politico is doing here. Politico has put Carney constructs a mega anti-Trump Trump trade alliance. Baloney. There's nothing anti-Trump about it. It
Yeah,
is
I know. I
facing
don't
up to
think
the
so
new
either.
realities of trade.
No, I
Even
don't
when
think it's anti-Trump.
even when Trump when first Trump was made aware that Carney was in China sorting out trade agreements with China, not any free trade or thing, just putting things back to where they were,
Yeah.
kind of. What's the first thing Trump said? Oh, that's good. That's what they should be doing. He should be looking after that. A little later on, he got frothed out. He played the part. He frothed at the mouth and said that
Oh, I
China's
know.
going
Yeah.
to take over Canada and that kind of thing. But and it was going to be a parking lot for all kinds of Chinese stuff to come across the border. So he's just playing the game there. But when he was honest, asked honestly, well, you hear about Carney going to China. He says, "Oh well, yeah, that's what he should be doing." You
Mm.
know,
Oh, yeah.
because Trump went to China, didn't he? He went there and he sorted out whatever trade disagreements they had. They didn't make a free trade agreement with China, and neither did Carney. He went over there and did the same thing that Trump did.
Yeah.
Basically, he went over there and sorted out, tried to sort of smooth over a few Chinese Canadian trade problems.
Mhm.
So this very idea, this is an anti-Trump trade alliance. No, it is not an anti-Trump trade alliance. It is
No,
it's just trade. It's trade
yeah.
alliances.
Trading. Yeah. It's
It's
just
what
trade.
you would have done whether Trump was in or not.
Yeah. All right. So sorry for my headline, which says mega anti-Trump trade alliance, because it's not. It's basically he's looking at let's join the European Union with this 12 nations Indo-Pacific bloc, and let's start some discussions about it. Right. The bloc is called CPT TPP, which is Trans-Pacific Trade. Yeah, too much of a mouthful, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
And it basically looking at members that include Canada, Singapore, Mexico, Japan, Vietnam, Malaysia, Australia, and Europe. And he's looking to combine that with Europe, of course.
Well, this Trans-Pacific Partnership that he's talking about, that's the one that Hillary Clinton sort of said she was not going to get involved in after Obama had made some no, after anyway, she said she wasn't going to get involved in that if she became president back in 2016.
Yeah.
That was a very contentious thing for both parties, but Canada and the other nations didn't think of it as politically as they did. We didn't have to. So getting in touch with places like Singapore, Vietnam, Japan, Malaysia, Australia. So those are countries that don't have any real geopolitical power. They just have to trade like we have to trade.
Yeah.
And anyone who like the biggest problem, one of the things Carney said about the global trading network is that it didn't work. And the reason why it didn't work, of course, is because you get you get things like monopolies going on. Like, for instance, China is making all the rare earth magnets and things like that, and there's no real eyes on what's going to happen if one country makes everything. The most sophisticated computer chips come out of Taiwan.
Yeah.
And when you had problems with supply problems during COVID, like the whole world almost collapsed because they couldn't get the really good chips from Taiwan.
And then when we had, for example, we had that minor blip when a ship got stuck sideways in the Suez Canal.
Well, yeah, that slowed down delivery, of course. But the fact of the matter is, and we were forewarned this. I have to say that it doesn't really matter what party it was, but economists have warned about that over and over again. What you're doing is you're one country takes over in a certain field, they produce it cheapest, so nobody realizes what that might do to the economy if suddenly that production is gone. Let's say there was a massive typhoon and it wiped out Taiwan's chip capacity. That could put the whole world into in a real tailspin.
Yeah,
you know, the same thing as rare earth magnets and stuff that the Chinese are essential to industry now. Sooner or later, the rest of us are going to catch up, but it'll take about 7 years. But in the meantime, let's say not even a political problem. Let's say it was just an environmental problem. Let's say an earthquake hit the plant that's making them. That would mean that the whole earth is vulnerable. The whole world economy is vulnerable on one place producing something. So that was the real problem with globalization. What it was supposed to do is make many different places making rare earth magnets, let's say, and that would be competition, worldwide competition. But what happened is one place begins to make them, and everyone else relies on that one place.
Yeah,
as they do for the most sophisticated,
which is such a dumb thing to do. Taiwan. Yeah, which is such a dumb thing to do. Right?
Yeah, we would think. Yeah, you would think of kind of think of it if the whole world relied on Saudi Arabia for its oil.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What could happen there? So there's going to be, and I'll have to say that over and over and over, we've been warned about that kind of thing, haven't we?
Yeah.
Sometimes not geopolitically problems, but sometimes just problems, like I said, like earthquake or typhoon or something of that kind, may disrupt.
And the point being is that certain minerals and things like that may well only be found in certain parts of the world. For example, what's that stuff that the stuff we've got that the Americans don't have much of?
Well, brains.
No, I mean the mineral.
Well, we've got lots of things. We've got potash that they don't have a lot of. Nickel. We've got a lot of nickel that they require. Aluminum, we produce aluminum. We don't really have the bauxite, but we do have the electric furnaces that make the aluminum. That's becoming a problem for the U.S. now because they have to. Yeah. Their manufacturers have to cover the tariff costs on that. So we'll probably see a reset in some things like that. We also have rare earths. We have a fair amount of rare earths, cobalt, and all kinds of other things that, and of course, the U.S. has things that we need too.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course.
Usually it's their expertise that we look for.
But and it's a fair comment that what you're saying about this is it's not. This really isn't an anti-Trump alliance. This is basically just is what Carney is looking at is that on the one side, on the eastern side of the country, we've got talks open with with Canada, and on the western side of the country, we've got talks open with the Pacific nations, and therefore we're keeping those two groups active.
Yeah, so political is being mischievous here when they say this is an anti-Trump thing. Carney's not going out there to construct an anti-Trump thing. He's going out there to build trade relationship, like even Trump said that's what he should be doing.
Yeah,
and that's what Trump does too, right? He goes around building up. I mean, he may threaten them with tariffs and all that, but what he's doing is just basically building up trade alliances. Every country does that. They try to build up trade networks.
What is the thing about Trump is, I think the world commentary is that we don't like his brash way of doing it, which is, I'm going to tariff you 150%. Oh, you want to talk? Fine, thank you. We'll be back to where we were at 10% before. Right.
Well, it didn't work with China, did it? So, but it might work for a smaller country like Canada, know.
Well, China has no need. China has no need to accede to the US because
remember Trump says all you got to do is phone us. When he first got in, I'm going to make it 145,000. All you got to do is phone me, Xi. All you got to, Xi didn't phone him.
Yeah. Exactly. He has no need. You think about it from the Chinese perspective. What need does he have of calling Trump?
Well, as a matter of fact, they said if you want a trade war, we'll do a trade war and we'll see who's the last man standing.
Yeah.
And of course, they control their whole country, so they could stand a lot more pain than we can.
Yeah.
Because the people can't revolt. So that didn't work. But I suppose it's supposed to be part of Trump's style, the madman style, the froth at the mouth, kick and scream type of thing. And then you got guys like Rubio come along behind him, sort of being the good cop, bad cop thing. As you notice what Rubio's done in Europe. Oh, we need you. We love you. Whoa, don't get upset. This kind of thing. And everybody's saying, yeah, but you told us. Yeah, you criticized us up the yin yang and you threaten us with tariffs. Rubio's over there. Oh, don't worry about that. Everything's fine. Don't worry about that. So it's a good cop, bad cop.
Don't worry about that. I will talk to my friend, Mr. Trump, and everything will be fine. What you see over here isn't really happening. What is happening is here, right?
Yeah, they might be doing the thing that Nixon and who is his who's the most famous foreign minister? I see him, Kissinger, right?
Yeah.
So they developed the madman theory. Get your leader, make him look like he's unstable and he'll do anything at any time, violence or something radical. And your trade minister happens to be the guy that sorts things out, Yeah, he's crazy. He's crazy, but don't worry, I can talk him out of it. That kind of thing,
Yeah, but the thing is, I think that Rubio can't talk him out of it.
No, I think Rubio though he changes his mind on a dime when it comes to things like Russia or anything else. But he is serving as president. So I'll have to say that, like his own particular points of view take second place, and he adopts the point of view of the president, Trump.
Yeah,
as you've seen videos of him earlier in his political career, how he criticizes Russia or this or that, and then all of a sudden he changes his view to match that of Trump. But I mean, he got the job, and that's what he's told to do. So that's what he's doing.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, businesses now shoulder the cost of recycling in Ontario, and this was actually the transition that Doug Ford had outlined last year. So it's a producer-funded blue box program. And it shifted the entire financial burden of residential recycling to those, big big block stores, and away from municipal shared cost model, aimed at creating a consistent and standardized system. And the shift is causing a significant cost increases for retailers, with some businesses reporting massive unsustainable fees for waste management.
Yeah, which happened. Well, we covered this earlier when the shift was going to go on to uh, the producers. Basically, would have to
Yeah.
pay for the recycling costs, and that meant to um, a thing like a furniture store. There was a Tepperman here is a fellow who is a spokesperson in this article, who has a family owned furniture business for many years. You know, you kind of think of our equivalent here would be like Saks, like a furniture store that
Mhm.
was owned by a family for many generations. Well, one of the things they did was put out flyers to their customers and stuff like that. And they paid 70 something thousand bucks to sort of cover the cost of that. But now their bill's like around $700,000. Like the cost of recycling has gone way up. Now there's a whole bunch of problems happening because you get what they call free riders, people who all of a sudden the amount of reported recycling has gone down, but it really hasn't gone down. It just meant that it's going somewhere and somebody's taking it
Well,
away. And
you see,
you know,
you
go
see,
ahead.
if you wind the clock back to when we were kids, you used to buy your Coke bottle at a corner store. You would drink your Coke bottle and then you'd return it, so you get the deposit back at the corner store. So the corner store would be part of the recycling chain. So when Coke came and supplied new bottles to the corner store, they'd pick up the old crates, including the recycled bottles, and and there was a whole refund mechanism involved in that. So why, the fact we dropped that whole thing in the 80s meant that now, of course, the those stores are not geared up for that kind of thing.
Well, that was in the days of the glass bottle, and the glass bottle could be used. I think a glass bottle could be used anywhere from 5 or 10 more times
Yeah,
before it had to be smashed and remelted. Right. So you could take a Coke bottle and use it 5 to 10 times, same as a beer bottle. If you get a beer bottle and you see it around a
yeah,
beer bottle starting to get old, when you see a line around the beer bottle around the neck someplace where the bottles were rubbing each other, so they're getting close to the end of their life there. But the fact of the matter is, you could use it over and over again, and then you could take
well,
that glass
in fact,
and melt it down because it's the same salt color and same grade. So that glass can then be easily recycled into new bottles. But
yeah,
now that was the age that was before the age of plastic
yeah,
and
exactly.
tin cans too.
Yeah,
Correct.
and again, the same could be said with like Coke cans as well, right? Because they could be melted down and reused.
Yeah, there's aluminum and there's all kinds of different things on that can that can be used.
Yeah,
Steel, uh, uh, I think the cans can be rolled really thin for steel and so on too. But the yeah, so that can be reused over and over again. But you have to have a recycling network to do it.
yeah,
So the glass and the metal doesn't count here
yeah.
because
Oh, I
those
know.
things can be reused over and over again, especially if it's a bottle like a beer bottle or a pop bottle that is the same grade of glass and it can be easily melted down and reused again. With the metal, yeah, it's easily recycled. That same can can be the
But
metal in that can can be recycled an infinite number of times.
but okay. So tell me about the furniture retailer and their recycling. Why is that radically different?
Well, they're like I said before, he had the flyers thing. We send out flyers, and he has a picture of them, the flyers, Black Friday sale and all that. Well, they used to send out flyers to their VIP customers weekly flyers,
Yeah.
and that was part of the marketing, and it worked very well. The guy's name is Andrew Tepperman,
Yeah.
and so for years the furniture retailer paid anywhere from $42,000 to $75,000 annually, and now that has gone up to $700,000.
So what is happening there?
How does he know? Now I imagine that includes the cardboard or whatever other recycling that his store produces.
I want a new armchair or a sofa, and I take my so I go to the store and I say, one of these, please, and he said, you're recycling your old one, and you're saying yes to the recycling of your old one. Is this what's going on
what?
here?
The chair or whatever you're buying?
Yeah. So you're buying a new sofa, right? You go and buy their brand new leather sofa, and he said, we can recycle the old one.
I don't think they'll do that.
Yeah. Well, how is recycling hitting that type of business?
Well, because of the recycling they produce. Right? They have to pay for it more than share it. It used to be a shared cost, but now they have to pay for it completely because they are the so-called producer. Now, when it comes to the flyers they put out every week, they put out a lot of flyers every week, and that would cost them. They were happy to pay $42,000 to $72,000 somewhere in there to cover the cost of recycling that paper, but now it's up to $700,000. Now, I would imagine that whatever the recycling cost they're talking about there also includes the cardboard that comes from the packages of whatever's in their furniture, their couch or the fridge or whatever, that kind of thing. So, or the foam, whatever. But the fact of the matter is, the retailers are on the hook for this. Is no longer shared. So, if you got a small business, a family-owned business like the Teppermans have here.
Yeah. So I've got a flyer in my hand. I come into the store and I say, hey, Dave, here's my flyer for my 10% off. You're taking the flyer back, basically, aren't you?
Yeah, but the problem is most of those don't come back to the store, obviously.
Yeah.
So the recycling has to take care of that, right? The municipal or city recycling has to take care of that, but they've changed the cost so that the so-called producer has to pick up the whole cost.
Yeah.
For that. Now, what they found out is there's a lot of cheating going on. Reported amount of recycling has gone down, but has actually gone up. So people are some what they call free riders are abusing the system, and it's hard to figure out who is. And in the meanwhile, a fellow like Tepperman here, who has had a strategy for selling that's worked very well for the store. Obviously, they've been around for a while, and now they're stuck with this massive bill. What are they going to do?
Okay, but you see,
stop doing what they did, and he says himself here. It says when it comes down to private family business like us, it hurts a lot. Tepperman said of the downloading versus if you're a Coca-Cola or somebody. So Coca-Cola, of course, like you said before, the bottles can go back, the cans can go back, right? And they're really actually worth money when they go back.
Yeah. And the point about that is that I see there has to be, and this is part of a problem that we have generally in society. There are two types of businesses. There are the smaller businesses that really run on a shoestring, and there are the mega corporations that can afford to do what the hell they want. And shoestring businesses can't afford to go from 50,000 to 700,000 in recycling costs.
Yeah, so I don't know. Circular Materials, the administrator of the Ontario Privatized Program, which is being phased in over the number of years, didn't respond to questions. That doesn't help, does it?
Yeah.
We try to get to the bottom of this. I wondered about that too. Like when the Ford government says, okay, well, now the producer has to take care of this. I thought of what might be the strain on small businesses, particularly. Like, I mean, a big outfit like General Motors or something like that. But they probably had their own system long before anyway.
Yeah.
But for the small business guy or girl, right?
Well,
That's an increased cost for them.
we produce probably about the same. We probably produce about the same amount of garbage as an average household does in our business. Um, we, 1 or 2 bags a week of normal kitchen junk, and the type of the black bag type rubbish. We would probably also be one recycling box for for paper rubbish. Sometimes that's more, sometimes that's less.
All right. Well, how many cans do you have? How much organic do you have?
Organics, basically, when you think, we don't really have any organic.
Yeah, see what I mean? So you're not really like a real household,
We
right?
don't really have much organic. Although if you took, we could actually separate the coffee grinds or something like that, or whatever's left over for your meal, etc. If you don't eat your full sandwich, you go to Subway and you buy a sandwich and you only eat half of it. I suppose that's an organic waste that we would throw out, but it doesn't go into an organic pile in the way that household does, right? But we've only got 1 or 2 black bags, just the same as anybody, as um, any household.
I don't know how many donuts make it into the recycling. I doubt it. I doubt you. I think you guys eat every donut that comes into the place.
Well, as I say, people have lunch. People do throw out things from time to time, right? And yeah,
Yeah. Well, look, this is a problem, and we can see that we covered this. I don't know, maybe a couple months
yeah,
ago or something like that, when the shift was towards the so-called producers. Now,
yeah,
when that first came out, I thought, well, it would go to the producer. Let's say that company, which let's
yeah,
say you're buying something in the packaging, right? Whoever packaged that material. Let's say you're buying a bunch of pens for your company, and it comes in with a cardboard backing and a plastic front. So I thought that those people who produced the plastic or the paper that made that packaging would be the ones be asked to do the recycling. But
yeah,
according to this article, if you've got a guy like Tepperman here who wants to make flyers for his customers, and that's worked for him for years and years and years, and then suddenly the cost of that is 10 times more than it was
yeah,
before.
yeah.
Yeah, Karen puts a point out there. She says the recycling may have got um, sold recently.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to, yeah. So my memory's vague on this, but I do know that the stuff that used to be able to go to the dump and just get rid of for free, it's not anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I went there. We had to get rid of a bunch of stuff, leftover stuff from Kiwanis and
Um,
paper mostly. And
and for example, things like beer cans and that are going up to 20 cents a can. Um, and again, um, and
well,
those,
I give all my empties to charity anyway.
yeah,
So if everything
yeah. But
every
you
can
take
of
it,
beer I buy, I just give it to the charity when I hand it back in.
yeah. But that's what I mean. You take your empty beer cans to the beer store. You get your money and you just put it in the charity box.
No, there's a special little it's kind of a cart there where you can put your empties right there, and you don't even have to go to. They'll do it later.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
and
Well,
I used to do. Yeah, they have something right on there. Not all the beer store people know that though too. They Some of them will give you the cash for it and then put it in that little box, but actually they have something right on their cash register where they can do it directly. So if you
well,
brought
it's
in
like,
10 empties, right? Well, I don't know, that's $1, right? So they could put that right directly into the charity from their cash register.
That actually surprises me about what you say there, because I would have expected you to have taken the money and to put it in the Kiwanis Fund.
No, there's no, I don't. I give it to the charity that's there. And all we're going to do with the money is give it to charity anyway.
I know.
You know? So if the money comes to us, all we're going to do is put it in the charity. So
I get that, but I also expect that you would be putting it into you would be controlling where it would go.
Well, I agree with whatever charity they have there. Like, for instance, if it's for juvenile diabetes or something like that, I mean, what am I going to do? Take the money for Kiwanis and then give that $5 or whatever to juvenile diabetes? The amount of money is small, obviously, so I'd have to sort of wait and collect a lot of it.
Well, your
and
$5,
then sort of give it out,
your $5 goes to my $5, goes to Gary's $5, goes to Mike's $5, etc., etc., etc. Right?
Yeah, so they might have juvenile leukemia, juvenile diabetes, something like that. When they tell me what charity is, okay, there's always a good one. You know, it's always something of need. So no, I would, and you're thinking too, like I might go with. I usually wait a long time before I go to the cash them in. So I may have, I don't know, 40 cans or something like that over the space of a few months.
Well,
and then I'll go. What's that? $4 or whatever.
Yeah.
Then I'll just leave it there, so they take $4 and put it towards the charity.
To be quite honest, with the weather we've been having right now, I'm not taking, up until this last week, I'm not taking anything, I'm not taking my boxes at all until I'll be taking it in the spring once the weather's broken. You know what I mean?
Well, you're going to have to, let's see, you're thinking of a couple of months worth of empties. So what you're going to have to get a U-Haul.
Yeah, well, it's what I do every winter though.
Drink a lot. Yeah, I know.
No, I mean, take the empties later on. I don't drink a lot. I don't actually drink a lot at all. Okay, so moving on.
Recreational drugs are your thing, eh?
No, I don't take drink or drugs.
Spot smoker.
All right. According to AP, Kim Jong-un's daughter is close to being designated as Korea's future leader, and she's 13 years of age, approximately, as far as we know.
Well, this is very interesting because it's interesting in a number of ways. Because the Korean culture, one of the reasons why Kim's sister can only go so far up the hierarchy is because she's a woman. And they've mentioned this before. Kim Jong-un's sister, according to some, is an extremely capable administrator. She would be very good in the government, helping her brother along. But there's a certain threshold that she can't break because she's a woman. Because even though this is a communist regime where that's not supposed to make a difference, the Korean culture is a very paternalistic culture. It's a male-driven culture. It would not be accepted right now for a woman to be the leader of the country. However, Kim thinks by the time that he is no longer around, attitudes will have changed and his daughter will be able to take over. So his father took over from his father, and he took over from his father, and his father took over from his father. Now it looks like his daughter is being coached to do the same thing. This is more of this is a family type of empire almost, like a kingdom. It is really does not do well when it's faced up to the communist ideals. This is one of the reasons why communism doesn't work very well, because if you run communism the way it's supposed to be run, you wouldn't get a Stalin, and you wouldn't get a Xi Jinping, and you wouldn't get a
because
Kim
you
Jong.
do your 4 years, you do your 4-year term, and then you're out.
Yeah, you'd be part of the proletariat. You'd be part of the dictatorship of the proletariat, and then that is supposed to evolve into the communal state that works for everyone.
Yeah.
What always happens though is you get a dictator like Stalin or Tito or Xi Jinping or anyone else in that vein, like Kim Jong Un.
Kim Jong Un.
Yeah. And so it doesn't work. For a while there in China, they tried to get it to work where the president really didn't last forever. So you had after Mao, you had a series of presidents that had terms.
Yeah.
Xi's making sure that doesn't happen. Putin, he's doing the same thing, but he isn't exactly a communist regime over there anymore. But he's making it clear that he's going to be the boss for life. And Xi's trying to do that too.
He's the new czar, right?
Yeah. But the difference between Korea is that they have a family-owned power base that they're handing the power off to every generation.
Yeah. And it's not the communist
supreme
party. Yeah. It's
and
not
the supreme leader is a god figure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly opposite to what you think the communists should be. A single godlike supreme leader is not how Marx had envisioned communism.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And basically, and Rick is saying no woman should run anything with a position of control. He's making a joke about it, but yeah, we get the point. We get the point, Rick.
Yeah, so I think it's very interesting for that particular when you have Kim Jong Un's sister, who's supposed to be, we don't know for sure, but many journalists have said that she's extremely capable. Probably a better choice to run the country than her brother, but couldn't do it even if she tried because the Korean culture would not accept it. But things must be changing enough that Kim thinks that his daughter will be able to take over. I don't know, 20 years down the line when Kim is gone, the attitudes will have changed enough that she then can take over. She can be the queen instead of the king of North Korea. And then she can be the dictator.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll see how that develops in time, right?
Yeah, we'll see. And I don't know. Kim went away to school in Switzerland, and when his dad died, he came back home, and he was the leader right away. And the first thing he did, of course, was kill a few uncles and a few people in the military, make sure everybody knew he was the boss. I'm not so sure the people he purged.
How do we know
needed it, but he needed to purge somebody to tell everybody I'm the boss man.
Yeah. How do we know it wasn't a take your daughter to work day? Sorry, I had to throw that one in there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So back to something local. Niagara's black population is surging, according to an article in the Standard.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I'm trying to get a radio show up and going that has that follows the life of a friend of mine. And when she grew up, she was one of the very, very few black people in and around this region. Black people were rare on the Ontario side of the Niagara River. Mm-hmm. And of course, she had a unique experience. But she found when she went across the river and was among many blacks that are over there, she still felt isolated because she was different. They thought she was uppity because she talked different. And she said, I only talk the way everybody else talks where I am from. But,
well,
apparently so she didn't fit in over there either. So, go ahead.
Apparently by 2021, it's probably higher now, Niagara's black population reached 12,800, which is double what it was a decade earlier, and undoubtedly has grown since then.
Well, that's 12% of the population, and that would be very similar to a lot of like the population in the United States. I think 12% of the population of the United States is black. So we're actually sort of mirroring the black population. The difference between our black population and the sort of traditional one in the United States is um, our neighborhoods were never segregated. Well, they
Yeah.
may have been segregated, but there were so few people it didn't make much of a difference. Um, so they live in among the rest of us. My brother's neighbor is a Nigerian engineer.
Well, the person they quote in here, it says, "Gone are the days when I would go to Walmart and not meet anybody who looks like me." I don't care what when I go to a store or something like that. I don't care who I meet, whether they look like me or not. You know.
Well, it kind of like I mentioned this a little while ago. I went to a movie called The Harder They Come. It was a Jimmy Cliff movie. It's kind of a B movie that became very, very popular. Had some really cool, neat music in it. But the when I went there, it was a movie about Jamaica. So I went to see the movie at Brock University, and there they had a theater there, a movie theater there.
Mhm.
I went
Yeah.
there with my date, and I was the only one that didn't come from the islands.
Yeah.
So when you're the only one that is different, you're aware of it. You know, you're aware of it.
Yeah.
And I think probably a lot of black people in Canada in the early days there, I think they pretty well got used to that, you know, and they probably got a lot of stares because there wasn't a whole lot of black people at the time. So when you did see a black person,
Yeah.
you probably got a lot of stares.
To me, I don't care. I don't care what color a person is. I take them by their personality. I like a person because of their personality. In fact, when it comes down to it, I don't have to like a client to help them, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the money is the same color as any other money, right?
Exactly. And the whole thing. For example, there was a few years ago, there was this cake manufacturer in somewhere in the US that refused to take an order for a cake because it was a gay wedding.
Yeah,
So
that was yeah. Now that see, I think the courts ruled in favor of the cake maker because he was going by his beliefs, and I think they were motivated by his religion. So didn't that court case go in favor of the cake maker?
I didn't know that it was a court case, but I knew there was they were up in arms about the discrimination there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. There was a guy who uh, who wouldn't do it because of a gay wedding, but according to his own religious convictions, he couldn't do that. It was immoral for him to do that.
Yeah.
Although the person that ordered the cake thought that they were being bigoted against. So it took a little. I think it went to court, and the cake maker won out because the cake maker has the privilege of serving whoever they want to serve within reason, and if they're motivated by religious conviction, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know what my wife was saying the other day in relation to this type of thing. When she first came here, there were maybe two or three Indian families available, in this local area. Hardly any really, and very difficult to get hold of, like the Indian food that she liked to get hold of. Now there's Indian families everywhere, and that's no issue about getting hold of food.
Yeah, and that sort of enriched everybody because
Yeah.
Indian food is awesome. So Um, and it's just like Italian food or Chinese food or whatever else that we used to. We learned to expand our palate, and yeah, that's one of the things that happens when you get more people from all over. Now, what we want to do is get the best talents. You know, there's been a lot of issues with refugees coming in. They don't necessarily have a whole lot of talent. They don't have the things that we need. So that's always been an issue. When you bring in a lot of refugees, then you have to train them, and it's hard for them to get a job. Blah 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 blah. But if you do it through immigration and you go all around the world and get the best people out there, like for instance, if you go to like I said before, my brother's neighbor is a Nigerian engineer, came over here and he worked for Acres or whatever it was, you know. Right? He's not a guy that's picking fruit. You know, he's not a black guy picking fruit. He's a black guy in an office doing an engineering job. Doctors, the guy that checked my eyes a little while ago, he's from Ghana, and I've been from I visited Ghana, so we talked. So we have something.
And you only asked because you're interested in where the family may have come from.
Yeah. The guy that one of my specialists, he was from. Where was he from? I think he was a Muslim Asian, South Asian Muslim, that actually one of the African populations, like your wife, from Kenya, and so I could salam alaikum him once in a while, and he'd be surprised I knew that, you know, and so there's
my eye doctor was from Costa Rica.
See,
yeah.
So it doesn't make much difference. I don't care who comes to the country as long as they can pay their way, as long as they can get a job and do what they want to do. The person that takes care of my mom's investments at the bank is a lady from Nigeria. Okay, so she come over with skills. She can walk right into the bank and get a job, and she's a skillful person. Those are the people. It doesn't matter what color they are. It's what they can do that add to the benefit of the country.
Yeah. Okay, another quick one. China's dropping visa requirements for Canadian tourists. Not that I'm about to go to China anytime soon.
I've been to China, and I would recommend anybody who wants to take a trip to China, they should go. It's a great place. It really is a great place. Now, when we think of the geopolitics and everything, our hair goes up. Just like people used to think of Cuba. I'm not going to Cuba. That's a communist country and everything. You forget there's people there.
Yeah.
Their misfortune is the government sometimes. In China, too. Yeah, like, when has the Chinese people ever been free? Right? They're either under the thumb of the emperor, under the thumb of warlords, or under the thumb of the Communist Party.
Regime, yeah. Yeah, so I agree with you. I agree with you, but I'm still not. I'm not about to plan any trip to Canada, to China anytime soon.
Well, like I said, I've been there once already. It was a great trip, and I'd love to go back. To me, it's the same as kind of like India. It is the world's oldest civilization. You know, like India and China, like they've been around forever. Right. And
I love India. I would go back in a heartbeat to go and see more of India.
Well, I think pretty much the same for China too, because it has all this huge, history and so on. And we think of it, the last 500 years, European civilization has ruled the world basically, but that's only 500 years.
Yeah.
These other, like in 500 years from now, who's going to be dominate the world? Hopefully, it'll be a universal world where everybody's welcome everywhere. I would hope for that, but of course,
I would hope.
Yeah,
but
I would say so. This is kind of like a little bit of a reward or a symbol, basically. Like, okay, we've amended our ways with China.
Yeah,
we actually all we did was take our trade that our situation that we had prior to COVID, basically, or prior to Trudeau. And and bring our trade conditions back to that point. Very similar to what Trump did too. Like he just kind of brought it back to a certain point rather than exacerbate it. So China's sort of given us a bit of a reward or a symbol, really, a symbol of cooperation by stating that Canadians don't have to have a visa to go to China.
Yeah.
Which is a nice gesture, really.
Okay. Moving on very quickly, Thorold is basically again gone to asking Doug Ford to declare a state of emergency on homelessness. Again, this is another one of those symbolic things.
I think it's a kind of a symbolic thing that's actually, which has a bit of urgency to it. Remember, Welland has already done that, called for a state of emergency. The guy that's behind this is Stephen Sues. Remember him?
Yeah, I know.
He's a fellow that's had a whole lot of difficulty with mental health and addiction.
Yes, he has.
Kind of overcome it. He probably is a very good spokesperson for the homeless, having probably flirted with homelessness and drug addiction and mental health issues himself. That is probably at the fundamental level of our homeless people. Is mental health and drug addiction. They go together. And how do you fix it? Like, there's nobody fixing anything. As we've mentioned on the show probably a billion times, that you go back 10 years ago and every local politician had a homeless solution. This is what we're going to do about a homeless, right? That was really top of order. But nobody's been able to do anything about it, have they?
Yeah, no.
So our counselors have been sort of stuck. They don't know what to do with it. Somebody's thinking if they call it a state of emergency with the province, that something will be done. But nothing, they don't have any more plans. The province themselves are thinking, well, what can we do? Grab all the homeless people, lock them up for vagrancy, and then put them through obligatory counseling and obligatory drug rehabilitation.
Obligatory doing anything doesn't work in that kind of thing, I don't think.
Yes, but what are you going to do with them? None of anything we've done so far has helped.
Yeah. It's getting worse. It's getting worse and worse. And the only thing I can think that we need to do is we need to basically start to develop something like a housing first type solution whereby we recycle, homeless people into some form of housing solution.
Well, the problem is they wreck it. And if you go to, like I said before, St. Andrew's Hall there, when the homeless people went in for the night, they came out and made a pigsty of a place. They're ignorant, not all of them, but enough to put people off.
I know.
And the people that work with them are just get frustrated more and more.
Yeah.
And so what do you do when you go by the one on Summer Street and Portage there? There's always a cop there. There's a cop with the fire department. It's a common thing to see there. More than one cop car. And you see all these lost souls wandering around there. What do you do? These people have a lost life. How do you reignite it?
Yeah.
How do you bring them some pride or some meaning back into their life? They escape that when they look at their life and they see there's been no meaning or purpose to it. They escape in a little bit of a fentanyl rush or an opiate rush. And we've had thousands of overdoses, like 63 calls a month or something like that. That's just oxycodone overdose. What are we going to do? So Stephen Sues goes to Thorold and says, we need to call emergency. You got to get Doug Ford. He did the same thing, while Welland has done. I don't know if he had anything to do with that. But if he comes on Welland, what are we going to do? Okay, we'll call a state of emergency.
As you know, Sues is from Welland, right?
What?
As you know, Stephen Sues is from Welland.
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
That's where he's
He helped
based.
William O'Sullivan do his thing in
Yeah.
front of St. Kevin's Church.
Well, I'm not so sure. You see, I'm not so sure that declaring a state of emergency puts it back on the front gender, but I don't think it solves the problem. And I've said that before. And even if Doug Ford declares a state of emergency, what is going to happen to solve that problem, the homelessness problem?
Well, that's my issue here too.
Yeah.
You can call it anything you want.
Yeah.
But what are we going to do? And we never do have a solution, do we?
Yeah.
Because some solutions mean we're going to have to interfere with the rights of the homeless. Now you're starting on a slippery slope there. If you interfere with the rights of a homeless person because you want to help them, what's stopping you to then begin to start interfering with other people's rights for other reasons?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
So if you remove the right, it's very, I don't know what else. Herd them up and put them out on the ends of the city. I don't know. I don't know. If there's children,
I don't think that solves the problem.
You got to do something. If there's children among the homeless, you really got to step it up and get that mother and child somewhere inside.
Yeah.
Like you can't have a child go through that.
All right. Okay. And I think we'll leave it at that point for right now.
Yeah. Anyway, I like to bring up Gaza like I always do. And it's just not getting any better, but at least less bombs are dropping and less people are getting killed. And there is a small amount, but the fact of the matter is they want to control all of the West Bank. In other words, if you have owned an olive grove, your family's farmed it for 1,000 years, the Israeli government's going to come and say, that's ours now. And too bad you can't farm it. You don't have any rights to it at all. And if we talk about the corruption that's going on in the States right now, that's nothing like the corruption in the West Bank, where they will always manipulate every little piece of paper to say, oh, well, you don't have rights to this land, even though your name's on some paper in the Ottoman Empire 1,000 years ago. Well, he spelled something wrong here, so the whole paper's gone, and now I'm handing this over to the settler movement. I find that it's rather. They talk that there was a whole lot of anti-Semitism out and about these days, but even when they talked about the demonstrations that were in favor of the Palestinians, large amounts of those demonstrators who were called anti-Semites were Jews.
Yeah,
were Jewish kids, right? Demonstrating for the rights of Palestinian people. They're very brave, but I think they've got courage and character. Anyway, without further ado, I bid you do. Let's pray for peace. Maybe we'll get some in Ukraine pretty soon.